going on, Dragon Ball fans? Welcome back to another Dragon Ball fan manga breakdown review, where today we're going to be reviewing a fan manga entitled Dragon Ball AF, which is a fan-made manga set within its own timeline outside of the main canon of Akira Toriyama and Toei Animation. As for many years now, I've been reviewing and introducing all kinds of Dragon Ball fan mangas to the world created by the community for the community, so if you guys are interested in seeing and reading up on incredible stories and concepts such as Dragon Ball AF, Dragon Ball Legendary, Dragon Ball New Age, Dragon Ball X, and many others, then feel free to check out the Dragon Ball fan manga playlist in the description box for more videos such as this, as right now we are going to be diving into a brand new manga chapter. As before we begin, if you are new to this channel, hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications to be the first to know when a new video is posted onto this channel, as we kick off Young Gigi's Dragon Ball AF manga chapter number 2 with Frieza seen in hell laughing as he's looking upon a screen and saying, "Looks like he's grown up splendidly, such an adorable child. And now I'll finally have my revenge on those pitiful Saiyans." And we get to see how 50 years, Gohan learns 50 years inside of captivity has allowed Eyes to become so powerful after learning that from Piccolo, as Gohan goes to state 50 years, which means that he's 10 times stronger than Frieza, with Piccolo having to say, "It'd be something like that if you can calculate it in simple terms," as Piccolo replies by saying, "However, I have an uneasy premonition. You'd better not hesitate to fight him altogether." And Gohan's like, "I understand, I'm feeling tense too. Vegeta will help too." And Vegeta's laughing at Gohan as he's fighting Eyes as a Super Saiyan 3 and saying, "I am not going to rely on a bunch of slackers like you. I'm more than enough on my own, so just keep quiet and watch." Which is typical of Vegeta, as Eyes continues in saying, "Well then, let's continue. I'm looking forward to seeing just how powerful you truly are," as Vegeta powers up and saying, "Looks like you're more than capable enough than I thought. I underestimated you a little bit. Now for the main event." So we get to see how tension is building up between the two, because Vegeta still doesn't understand nor comprehend the depths and power of this entity, as Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta takes charge in attacking Eyes head on and delivering a thunderous left hook to the face. And we see how Eyes, as he takes the hit, he's flying out in the distance, and Vegeta, he's going for a right hook, but then all of a sudden Eyes disappears. So it looks like even though Vegeta is able to get some hits in, he's still having trouble in fully executing his attacks. And we see how Vegeta then begins to unleash a barrage of energy attacks, just flinging those energy blasts all throughout the land in attempts of stopping Eyes, but it looks like Eyes is actually evading everything until he manages to evade Vegeta's attacks so much so that he goes right through them and giving Vegeta a thunderous elbow shot to the jaw. And I have to say, this is a really interesting shot and a very interesting panel of seeing how Eyes is so cunning in just delivering a thunderous shot to the face. Vegeta's taken back by this, but then we get to see how Eyes begins the onslaught. So he doesn't seem to be phased, he doesn't seem to be tired, but he seems to be continuing until then. He's the one that's punching Vegeta into the ground, as Vegeta gets hit so hard that he breaks his momentum. However, just behind him, Eyes begins to attack. So no matter what Vegeta does, in terms of speed, it looks like Eyes does hold the advantage, as Vegeta jumps up in the sky and the battle continues. Now, as this chapter progresses, we get to see the fatigue be bestowed upon Vegeta, as honest to God, he doesn't seem like he's doing that good of a job, or at least as good of a job as he wants to in this fight, and Gohan's looking down upon him. Vegeta's clenching onto his head. Eyes teleports in front of him and saying, "Don't tell me that was your true power. If so, I'm quite disappointed." And Vegeta, while on the ground, is smiling and saying, "Relax. This still isn't all of my power, you know." As Vegeta stands up and saying, "I never thought I'd have to use this just to deal with the likes of you." Trunks, as he clicks on the Capsule Corp item, and it looks like it's a blood swave machine, as Vegeta goes on to state, "Fire this at me." And that's when Pan's like, "What is this?" As Vegeta replies by saying, "It's a handheld brute swave generator. I had Bulma make it." And that's when Trunks is like, "Brute swaves? So does that mean, Dad, don't tell me this?" And that's when Vegeta cries out and saying, "Alright then, let's go." And Trunks is like, "Yes sir, okay sir." And that's when Trunks grabs the device and firing the brute waves directly at Vegeta. So you know what this means. As Vegeta is overtaken by the brute waves, little by little, we see Vegeta begin to change into the Golden Ozaru, which of course we then get to see how later on he quickly reverts into Super Saiyan 4. So finally Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta is introduced, and Eyes looks to be shocked out of his mind because he didn't really think that that was all Vegeta had until, of course, Vegeta had transformed into a Super Saiyan 4, as we get to see how Vegeta in all his glory is standing there with the dust and debris flying everywhere, electricity all around his body, and Eyes doesn't seem to be mad, but more or less focused. And that's when even Oob is like, that's incredible, as Gohan replies by saying he transformed into a Super Saiyan 4, as Vegeta goes on to tell Eyes, thanks for waiting, now I'll show you what happens when I get serious. You're gonna regret this, as Eyes replies by saying that's quite a strange transformation for an Earthling. Alright then, let's start round 2. Vegeta gets in position, Eyes locks on, and that's when you can feel the real tension begin to brew, as once again, Vegeta takes charge directly at Eyes in punching him once again with the exact same left hook that he did as a Super Saiyan 3, which, to me, I think this was kind of lazy in having Vegeta do the exact same thing, but he hit this man so hard that he went flying through a bunch of rocks. I mean, literally, this man went hurtling through, and we see how then, only then, Vegeta begins to turn up the heat in kicking this man, punching this man, dragging him all throughout the dirt, and even delivering a thunderous shot to the jaw, which only then we can see how Eyes is beginning to struggle as Vegeta sticks his arm out and crying out, "Final Shine Attack!" And that's when he unleashes the Final Shine Attack, and this attack manages to directly make contact with Eyes head on to the point where the actual blast connected, unlike the Big Bang where Eyes had deflected it. So at that given point, there's a large explosion, everyone's wondering what the heck is going on. Eyes' soldiers are all like, "Lord Eyes, no, what's going on?" as Vegeta looks up in the sky, but Eyes is still alive, but he's hurt. And that's when he's beginning to breathe heavy and looking down at Vegeta and saying, he can't be this strong, as Oob goes on to state incredible, too incredible, as even Eyes' minions go on to state, is Eyes okay? This is bad. If we don't treat him right away, he's going to die. And Vegeta's laughing. Vegeta's having the time of his life as Eyes looks down, and Eyes begins to land on his feet, but he smiles at Vegeta. So now Vegeta, who is smiling, doesn't seem to have a smile on his face anymore. Why? Because his opponent seems to have taken this fight very lightly, as Eyes goes on to state, quite frankly, I didn't think you'd be this good. Well then, I'll get a little serious myself. And that's when Vegeta's like, serious? Are you saying that you haven't been serious up until now? As Eyes replies by saying, that's right. As Vegeta replies by saying, don't make me laugh. If you're going to be a poor loser and bluff like that, you could at least make it more realistic. But then, all of a sudden, everyone begins to detect something. Everyone begins to detect the massive power that's within Eyes as Eyes begins to transform. And it's a very familiar transformation because as we see Eyes in position, Vegeta's shocked, everyone is shocked as to what's going on as we see his body begin to change into an also familiar form. Resembling that of Frieza's second form, we get to see how Oob, Pan, Gohan, everyone seems to be so scared as to what they're beholding as finally Eyes completes his second transformation and Vegeta is just dumbfounded. His mouth is wide open, his jaws drop because he did not expect for this to happen. Not only that, but Eyes had also grown in terms of size as well. So now he's much bigger than how he was before. As Eyes goes on to state, I've gotten a little stronger, so please don't die easily. And Vegeta in his head is like, no man, this can't be. And Oob is like, he transformed again, as Eyes looks very intimidating and saying, alright, are you ready to fight? And Vegeta gets in position, he's very tense, and that's when Gohan goes on to state Piccolo was right, we should have attacked them all together. And at that given moment, at that given second, Eyes begins to attack Vegeta in a very, very beautiful shot of how we see Vegeta just terrified out of his mind as Eyes is shown to just charge in there like a raging bull, and Vegeta cannot believe it as he punches Vegeta in the face, and now the tides have turned in favor of Eyes, because now Eyes is the one that's beating Vegeta around even as an ascended Super Saiyan 4, teleporting behind him and punching him repeatedly in the face over and over and over again, and Vegeta, every single time Eyes does something, is just stunned out of his mind. Now for this, we have to take into account that at this given stage of Eyes' form, he has to be stronger or at least on par with a character like Omega Shenron, because if we see the way Eyes is fighting off Vegeta, it looks like more or less Eyes isn't even trying as he kicks Vegeta out in the distance and letting off a thunderous blast, but Vegeta lands on his feet. And what's most interesting about Vegeta's fight with Eyes right now is the fact that as he got kicked in the face, he's holding on to his face, he feels tremendous pain, but then he looks up and that same blast catches Vegeta in its entirety as Gohan cries out, "Vegeta, behind you!" But fortunately for Vegeta, he managed to escape as he leaped up in the sky, but just as quickly as he leaped up, he turned around and Eyes was right behind him. So as he's behind him, now Vegeta goes on the offensive in trying to attack. Now, even though Vegeta is attacking Eyes, it doesn't look like Vegeta is doing any better than how he was before, because Eyes seems to deflect every single thing that Vegeta is doing, even to the point where he teleports behind him and kneeing Vegeta directly in the spine and knocking him on down into the ground. So much so to where it creates a massive crater to where Vegeta is lying helpless on the floor. Trunks cries out, "Dad!" And that's when Gohan replies to Trunks and Goten and saying, "Goten, Trunks, Oob, at this rate, we'll all be done for. Let's help Vegeta." And everyone's like, right. Even Pan. That's when everyone's like, "Pan, take this. Goten, let's go fuse." So now at this point, they have no other option but to help Vegeta, considering the fact that now we see how Goten and Trunks combine their powers into creating Gotenks. But not just little Gotenks, adult Gotenks, which is the first time we've ever seen a fusion of adult Gotenks in any form of Dragon Ball GT / Dragon Ball AF manga adaptation. So now we finally get to see how Goten and Trunks fuse, and as quickly as they were introduced, they transform as a Super Saiyan 3. Alongside Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, Oob also transforms in saying, "I'll show you the fruits of my training," and Oob begins to power up. So now we have a full-powered Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks and a full-powered Majin, as both of them cry out and saying, "Let's go," as they charge towards Eyes' direction, but Eyes looks down and saying, "Oh, it's over already?" And that's when he spots the boys, as Gotenks and Oob go on the attack, and Eyes doesn't seem to be concerned, but instead, he's laughing. He goes on to state, "Do you guys want to play with me too?" Because Majin and Gotenks actually missed their attacks, so they weren't able to successfully land a single solitary blow on him because of Eyes' speed. But he goes on to welcome the challenge as Gohan gets Pan away and saying, "Pan, fire that gun at me." And that's when Pan's like, "But Papa, won't you turn into that Ozaru if you're exposed to brute waves?" As Gohan replies by saying, "Yeah, I understand, but I can't defeat him the way I am now. It's an all or nothing gamble. I'm going to become a Super Saiyan 4 too." And that's when Pan's like, "Papa, you're going to become a Super Saiyan 4 too?" And Gohan's like, "Yeah, that's why I want you to help me, Pan." As Gohan has flashbacks and saying, "When Vegeta came to Earth, I transformed into an Ozaru. At that time, I heard Krillin and Father's voice. Perhaps because of my Earthling blood, I have a high chance of regaining my senses. Becoming a Super Saiyan 4 is a matter of transforming into an Ozaru and then coming to your senses. So when I become an Ozaru, I want you to call me out. Your voice should definitely get through to me." As Pan goes on to state, "I understand, let's try." And Gohan thanking her and saying, "I'm counting on you, Pan." Which of course, at that point, Pan fires off the Brute Waves machine and hitting Gohan directly. And then, just as we saw back in Dragon Ball Z, Gohan begins to transform into an Ozaru. His body's beginning to change, and lo and behold, we have ourselves a golden great ape, which is really cool to see Gohan transform into that, because we've never seen what it would actually be like to see a golden great ape Gohan. And Eyes notices this and saying, "What is that huge monkey?" And Oob is like, "Gohan's become an Ozaru." And at that point, Gohan does what monkeys do best, and that's fire off and destroy the entire land, just as we saw with Goku do it, Vegeta do it, and many other people prior to him. So Gohan is rampaging all throughout the land, sending out nuclear-like explosions in the distance, and Eyes seems to be taken back by this because it's a very unexpected thing for him to even encounter a giant monkey, let alone a giant golden monkey. And then Pan cries out and saying, "Papa, it's me, Pan. Can't you tell? It's your daughter, Pan. Listen to me. Papa, come to your senses, please." And Gohan at that point is beginning to struggle, but he understands her voice. But Pan is continuously crying out, "Papa, please, please." And at that point, Gohan remembers, Gohan knows, and Gohan begins to revert back into his human form, as little by little we get to see the monkey decrease in size, and lo and behold, Gotenks, Pan, Vegeta, Oob, even Eyes notice that there is yet another power level on the scene, and that individual having to be the introduction of Super Saiyan 4 Gohan. And with Super Saiyan 4 Gohan having to be there, everyone seems impressed, especially Pan, by saying, "Amazing, Papa, you've managed to become a Super Saiyan 4, as Gohan replies by saying, "Thank you. It's all thanks to you, Pan. Alright, I can fight like this too." And that's when Vegeta's like, he transformed right away. That really drives me crazy, as we get to see how Gotenks and Majin go on to state, "Incredible, Gohan's a Super Saiyan 4 too. Now we can actually manage something," as Gohan goes on to state, "Vegeta, let's all of us fight together." As Vegeta stands up and saying, "I can't believe we're having such a hard fight against some of Frieza's leftovers." As Vegeta goes on to state, "Okay then, Gohan, try not to drag me down. Let's go." And at that point, we have Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta and Super Saiyan 4 Gohan continuously together in a single unit, synchronize their attacks and attacking Eyes together. Now, we have Ultimate Gohan Super Saiyan 4 and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta 2-on-1 against Eyes, and Eyes is laughing. Eyes is actually welcoming this in the fact that we see how Majin and Gotenks join the fight as well, so it's basically a 1-on-4 like scenario, and everyone's trying to attack him. We see how Vegeta is unleashing attacks and saying, "Take this," and with that, he unleashes the Big Bang attack again, but this time, instead of deflecting the blast, Eyes instead tries to hold the blast back as he sticks his hands out in repelling against the blast, but Vegeta unleashes even more energy on Eyes that causes Eyes to stumble back, and then we get to see how even Majin cries out and saying, "Super Chocolate Beam," as Gotenks sticks his arms out in a very familiar pose, as he later cries out, "Kai Cannon," and at that point, Eyes is taking on everybody's attack at once, that we see the struggle between him and the boys, between him and Vegeta cries out to Gohan and saying, "Gohan, do it now!" Gohan begins to fire up and saying yes. He powers up and he slowly sticks his arms back and saying, "Kamehameha!" He fires off the Kamehameha, and with a thunderous roar, we see how Gohan lets off his newly found Super Saiyan 4 Kamehameha, and Eyes at this point is seemingly concerned. Why? Because he's taking on everyone's attack to the point where he can't push it back, so he gets overtaken by the blast and vanishing in the blind light. So then we get to see above Earth, there is a massive white blast that we can clearly see happening, in which is a direct result of Eyes having to be overtaken, as even down in Hell, Frieza is so shocked as Piccolo replies by saying, they did it. And even in the other world, Tien is like, "Unbelievable, I never felt such a powerful ki before." And that's when Chaozu's like, "Me either, that's incredible," as Tien replies by saying, "I wonder what's going on." And even then, back on Earth, we see this massive crater. Everyone's tired, everyone's huffing and puffing. Gohan goes on to state it's over. Vegeta even goes on to state, "That took longer than I thought." Every one of Eyes' minions are shocked, but then, from the crater, we begin to see a pair of horns. Gohan shocked, Vegeta shocked, and saying, this can't be. And then from the rubble, we see how Eyes emerges, but he doesn't seem to be smiling. He seems to be very pissed, as Gotenks replies by saying, "Impossible, he took all of that?" And that's when Majin was like, he's a monster. And Eyes, without even saying a word, leaps up on one of the rocks, and as he looks down at everybody else, he goes on to say, "I've had enough fun. Thank you. I've managed to work off some stress. Let me offer you a small present in return. I'll put all of you out of your misery with my true form. It will only take an instant, so you won't have to suffer." And that's when Vegeta's like, "Did you say your true form?" And that's when Eyes is like, "Well then, let me show you all my true form." And at that point, the manga chapter comes to an end. So at this, we learn that Gohan, for the first time, transforms into a Golden Ozaru, and with that kind of power, he transforms into a Super Saiyan 4 for the first time. But even with the combined powers of Super Saiyan 4 Gohan, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, Majin, and Pan, it doesn't seem to be enough to even damage this guy, because by the end of it, he does emerge from the rubble with blood, and he does seem to be very tired, but he doesn't seem to be as affected as everyone thought he would be, as he replies to everybody by saying, "You know what, no more games, I'm going to show you all my true form, and with that, I'm going to kill each and every single one of you off using my true form." So I really did enjoy the dynamic between Gohan and Vegeta, especially having to see Gotenks and Majin actually do something for once, and I do feel like in a situation like this, you can't afford to hold back, which ultimately makes sense, because having to take Piccolo's warning for the first time time, everyone starts to put their heads together and working together to defeat him, because they know that as singular fighters, they can't seem to take this individual on head on. So what they need to do is they need to work together to destroy him, otherwise he's going to destroy them in return. But now we understand that Aiz is going to be using his true form, and that begs the question as to how powerful he's going to be once his true form is unleashed. So in the end, guys, let me know what you all think down in the comment section below. What are your overall thoughts as to what's going to happen next? What are your overall thoughts on Aiz surviving all of this and the debut of Super Saiyan 4 Gohan for the very first time? I actually had done a Super Saiyan 4 Gohan explain video on this channel. If you guys have not checked that out, be sure to go ahead and check it out. It does have to deal with Dragon Ball Heroes, Dragon Ball Online, Dragon Ball AF, and everything in between that showcases Gohan's Super Saiyan 4 debut. So thank you all so much for watching, guys. Once again, tune back in for Young Gigi's Dragon Ball AF Manga Chapter number 3 edition. If you guys enjoyed, slap a like down below. If you guys are new to this channel, hit that subscribe button, guys. Turn on all notifications. Tune back in for more, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you guys down in the comment section below. Take it easy, everybody. Cue my motherfucking outro, bitch.